So today I'm here with Greg and Vicky, and I am so excited to talk about Below the Salt. So can you tell me, and welcome first of all, can you tell me what Below the Salt is? Either one of you can start.
Well, that's a phrase that takes its roots from the Middle Ages, very well known in the UK especially, when salt, highly valued, was kept in things like castles and sailing ships called salt cellars. They were made of silver and pewter, and if you Google, you'll see all sorts of samples of them. So if you went to a nobleman's house, he would sit at the high table, salt in its salt cellar would be placed in the center. Those who served at his pleasure sat below the salt. They were all those who provided everything. And so that's why we're called Below the Salt Distillery. Greg is a seafarer. We met because I was traveling aboard ships of the Canadian Merchant Marine.
Cool.
So my work as a photographer was all about labor and industry, and it just fits the brand.
You see, I could see the seafarer mermaid thing. I have to be honest. I can see you being a mermaid too.
Oh, no, you don't see how I swim.
Well, mermaids just have to sit on rocks and look pretty.
Yeah.
However, it's just, I'm just making an observation. So now, what you do is you make beautiful liquor. Is that right?
What we wanted was labels to reflect what was on the inside. So on Vicky's business card, it says she's the girl that makes everything look good, including the distiller. So I think she's done a good job. We've had a lot of compliments, especially from industry people,
Right.
about the quality of the labels and that they're, well outside the pack.
So each one of these labels is different.
There's a story about...
And that's what I'd like to know. Now this one says Highland Tears.
Yeah.
Can you explain that one?
That's Vicky's handiwork.
We're a Cape Breton company. Come on.
Well, that makes sense because there've been a lot of tears in Cape Breton.
There you go.
That's
Yeah.
for sure. No, I get that.
Yeah.
But I'm. Are they all they're not all the same, right?
No.
They're not all the.
No,
No.
we have a vodka,
Right.
which is much like a Northern European vodka, which is very smooth. It's not like the turpentine we drink here. Our gin is the same base. We use grains from Horton Ridge down the Annapolis Valley, all floor malted just like they do in Scotland. Our rums, we use organic cane for our rums. Our rums are made completely in-house. We don't do any blending. We do everything from scratch. And then we have our pièce de résistance is our Shield Maiden, which is grains from Horton Ridge and honey from the Annapolis Valley when we started, and now we use Finkel's honey over in Antigonish. And it's a bit of a funny one because everybody and their dog said, it was our first product to market, and everybody said, why'd you do that? And it's like, well, we just wanted to do something that people would appreciate, and it's our second most popular product outside of our Navy rum.
Well, I think what's beautiful about it is you're sourcing a local product.
It's the most important thing to us is to support local, and everybody and their dog talks about it. It's expensive, and if we want these things to exist, we have to invest. And we have a lot of customers that appreciate what we do, and they support us, so we will support the local. And that's why we do what we do.
So, just out of curiosity, how does one? Must be hours of taste testing, hours and hours of taste testing.
Well, I was very, very fortunate. Since I started sailing, I got to travel all over the world. And it started in the Caribbean when I was a teenager. I was a bosun on board the vessel, responsible for the crew and responsible for the ship. And the captain said to me, well, go pick up some rum.
Oh.
Well, this is the 80s in the Caribbean when you don't run down to the Winn-Dixie. So
No.
I went down to a distillery and I knocked on the door, and biggest guy I've ever seen in my life opens the door and says, "What do you want?" And I look, rum, sir. So he took me in and showed me around. The fact that I already had a brewing experience, he was really quite impressed, and we spent the day together, and I learned how to make rum right then and there, and I haven't stopped. That's my specialty. But then I've been fortunate enough, working with grains came from the Bourbon Trail in Kentucky and Tennessee. I got to travel there in the 90s, and then going to France. I spent almost 20 years of my life in France, and really honing the art of distilling and learning all the intricacies. So, the family, one of the last families that I worked with, had been doing it for 300 years.
Oh.
I think they got it down pat.
So you've brought your entire world into bottles.
That's what we're trying.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah, that's what we're trying.
So now how do you just the two of you, aren't there?
Yeah.
But how do you do that?
We're busy.
Well, you must be. Because
It's
it's not an easy, that's just not an easy thing to do.
it's been a challenge, and we've had a lot of fun. We're very complementary in personality and in skill set. So what I do well does well for the company. What Vicky does well for the company. And this is sort of the epitome of our skills.
So these are your babies.
In a nutshell.
They're your family.
That's it. That's it.
Well, so where can you get it?
From us.
Right on. So you can actually get it straight from you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
We are one of the more popular things at Liquid Assets. We have all of our products there except for Lardois and Boilermaker. We're slowly picking up where our products are at Fox Harbor. High-end people really, really appreciate what we're doing.
Maritime Inn.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
They've
Yeah.
stepped up for local.
One of my favorite
Yeah.
places, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, there are. Yeah, if it catches on, you're going to have to I don't know what you're going to do. Stay up night and day or something.
Well, we know how much we can make. The fact that we've moved our facility to Arbor-Boucher, it makes it a lot easier, because before we were commuting to Halifax,
Right.
which was a killer.
Oh my gosh,
That was every weekend we were up, and it was a lot of time, money, and effort. But we were fortunate enough to have the facility to get ourselves on our feet. And then we ended up with this wonderful piece of land in Arbor-Boucher, and we set up our distillery and our tasting room and our patio, and we can host people, and
Cool.
we can do events, and we're having a lot of fun with it.
That's very cool. And it makes it even more desirable.
And
It
that
really
is
does.
exactly
It really does. Yeah.
what we set out to do.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, there's no reason to be big. We just want to be the best.
I mean, I have to admit that, even though it's only 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm really tempted. I have to tell you, but I can't, but I'd love to.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that many people would be really interested, because I like the idea that you're local.
Yeah.
People say shop local, but they don't, right?
Well, that's it.
The other thing, too, is as we're all wanting to drink less and
Yep.
consume less sugar, be healthier, exercise more, our products are all super smooth. They're not something you need to knock back. So what we do when we do flight tastings is we do a lot of education. We explain to people that vodka tastes good on its own. And we show people that. We show people that you don't have to inundate our stuff with all sorts
Sugar
of
and
mix.
bits.
Most Cape Bretoners that I have met over the years, the older ones, like to knock it back. Just saying.
I know.
It's a knock it back kind of world. But
We're
and
working
you're
on
right
them.
though, but things have been changing. I have to admit, the younger generation especially prefer a good drink
Yep.
and a social drink as opposed to
Yep.
not tasting anything that's going into their mouths and watering it down with lots of Pepsi
Yeah.
or Coke or whatever they drink.
Yeah.
So you guys are like a powerhouse. You guys are sort of. I mean, there's two of you. There's only two of you. It's actually years of experience
Yeah. Yeah.
in a bottle.
Well, they are actually, because the labels
And they're artistic.
all
They're very
tell
artistic.
stories.
Yeah.
Like the Trois Capitaines, that's a picture of a ship I was on in 2013 in a blizzard. And it was an early December blizzard. We were at Little Narrows, Cape Breton, taking out probably what was one of the last loads of gypsum from that mine.
Wow.
And we were blowing ahead of a blizzard that was coming through. And I was able to use it for a bottle. Like, how great is that?
Yeah. Memory.
Yeah.
A memory that will go on forever.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. So how long does it take to do this?
Well, that's the thing. I have a lot of experience in the brewing industry. I started at the forefront. Kevin Keefe, who owned the Granite Brewery, he started his brewery at Ginger's. I was one of the patrons that helped them carry that brewery in and carry it out to the Henry House where it became the Granite. I set up my brewery in Guysborough about a year after that. So all through the 80s and the early 90s, I was part of that community. That gave me the opening to work on these products and visit other distilleries and learn. Yeah.
Well, that's the
basically.
important part, isn't it?
Yeah.
Learning.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people go out and they try something new and they just think they know everything. But
Yeah.
if you're learning
Yeah.
as you go, you can bring all of that into one happy place, right?
Yeah.
This looks like a pretty happy place, to be honest.
It
This
is.
a pretty happy-looking place.
It's been a lot of fun. It's the other thing is the community support has been fantastic.
That's good. So have you not had anybody tell you that they think you're crazy?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, I just thought I'd ask.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, anytime you want to, have a taste tester event, let me know, and I'll advertise the
Not a problem.
beans out of it.
Not a
I'll
problem.
probably
at all.
even show up. As long as it's a weekend off.
We're just in the process. We're talking about labor. We have a steel-working family that's in the process of covering over our patio, and we're going to be able to do events. We're going to stay open until at least Christmas. So keep an eye on Facebook and all the other culprits. Sign up to our website. Exactly.
And they look beautiful on the shelf.
They're really attractive bottles, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah.
I think they're cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's this?
Oh, that's a wonderful story. So that's our first collaboration. It's with Brian over at Candid Brewing in Antigonish, once again supporting local. He and his wife showed up with their 3-day-old baby at our tasting room just around Christmas time when we opened. And he said, look, I want to work with you. And I said, cool. So we went over and spent an afternoon with him at his brewery, and we talked beer, we talked all sorts of things. And Brian made a statement. He said, rum and IPA, it's the two favorite flavors of Nova Scotia. And I looked at him and I said, Boilermaker. And Vicky looked at him and said, Boilermaker. And Brian said, Boilermaker. So anyway, the wonderful character on the label is Paul Meller. When we decided that it was going to be a Boilermaker, we had to have Paul on the label. And I tried getting in touch with him. And finally, I was speaking with a friend of ours, and he said he had passed away.
Oh.
And I was absolutely devastated. So my friend reached out to his wife, and she was absolutely thrilled. And
But the thing is that this is an image that was a selfie that Paul and I took together back in the days when you set up the tripod.
So it was
back
meant,
in
it was meant to happen.
in 2011, I was aboard Canada's last steam-powered ship on the Great Lakes.
yeah.
And this was an image taken in the engine room there. He was a true Boilermaker. When I met Greg in 2018, when he was working on Lake Ontario, I step aboard the tug and I get the, hey kiddo, how you doing? And there was Paul, and he was the engineer.
He was my engineer.
And that's how you met?
Well, indirectly.
Yes.
Right.
There we go.
Right. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you two are probably one of the best matched peoples I've ever encountered.
We certainly try.
Well, I mean, I think it's that you don't have to try. Perhaps that's the best.
Yeah.
So it kind of seems
Or
that way.
that we met later in life.
Oh, that's really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll thank you again for coming. And anytime you have anything to let the people know, you just let me know. And
Thanks
we'll
a
make
million.
sure it
Thank
gets
you.
out there, okay?
Really appreciate
You're
it.
very
Thanks for your
welcome.
time.
You're welcome.